Yo, what do they call me? They call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the good? Call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, they call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I look good on camera. You know I look good on camera.
Hey.
Move myself over a little bit. Hold on, let me do like this. Oh shit. Okay. All right. Okay. Come on, Mr. Dog. Shut the hell up. All right, here we go right here. So we have to start this show off the right way. And to do that, we had to have our theme music for the day. So what am I doing? Yeah. We'll just get a little bit of this. All right. And if you want to sing along to your own shit, you can.
You already know how I get around.
There we go.
Say I'm in your city when I'm in your town. Ask you if you're still with that nigga now. Cause you know I miss you now. You know how we getting down. Do you mind if I slide on you? Spend time with you tonight. Do you mind if I chill with you? Make it real for you tonight. Ooh, I want you, babe. I won't rush you, babe. Can I touch you, babe? Plain I touch you, babe. We both love it, babe. When we back fucking, babe. How you want it tonight from me.
Hey.
Anything you want me to be.
Hey.
I got what you want when you need. And anything you want when you need to.
Yeah. Special introduction right here. Make sure the pain ain't in my way. All right, I'm cool right here, but it's all good. Yo, what's up? It's your homie, Devin Zoolander, coming all the way live from Zooland Drive. Today's guest comes to us by way of living right around the corner from me. I remember when I first met this brother, I was his Uber driving. I'm like, all right, here come this dude. He think he cool. We get it. You like music, but I ain't know that he made music. But you become friends with people on social media and you realize, wait, this guy really does make music. So now that I've been thinking about that, I'm like, all right, but everybody say they make music, but are they good?
Right.
And then I listen to you, I'm like, all right, yeah, he's legit. He sounds like all the R&B stars that I know that get busy. So it's really an honor to sit here with one of the most talented vocalists that I know in real life. Not that I've heard on the radio, but I know in real life. Please put your hands together for the one, the only, Landon Thomas.
Love that.
All right. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. Solid as always, my man. Absolutely.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Glad that we finally got you to be here, man. And my bad about before. See, let me tell you something. Here's what happened. So I remember I reached out to this brother before, and I was like, yo, man, you should be on the show, the Devin Zoolander show. I like what you do. And he was like, yo, cool, man. Say less, man. I'm there. I'm like, all right. That's cool. Easy, brother. So I'm like, all right, that's what's up. But then stuff starts to happen where it's just like I start prioritizing some of the ladies more than you, and it's just kind of like, you know, they different, and I mean, you cool, but you ain't them, so you gotta sit on the back burner a little bit.
Hey, I'm not saying it's right. All I'm saying is I understand.
You understand it. You understand it. We don't condone it, but we damn sure understand it.
Fact.
All right, well, that's good. But cooler heads did prevail. I thought about it. I saw that you were dropping a project, and when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, this is a guy that really, really keeps working, and he won't leave me alone. Not that you was hitting me up, but it's kind of like, yo, this dude, he won't leave me alone because he keep on posting stuff, and I keep on seeing it, so he keep on showing up in my algorithm. So I'm thinking like, yo, this dude, maybe God is doing this for a reason. I got to interview this brother, so that's what brings you here today.
Hey, absolutely. Blessed to be here. Absolutely.
Yep. No doubt, man. It's definitely good to have you in the mix because I know that you put a lot of work into your craft, and I appreciate that as someone that does this version of art with the podcast. I appreciate all the hard work you put in.
Absolutely. And I'm a fan of this. Like, the setup, everything that you're doing here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
always
yeah.
good to mingle with people that actually take their craft seriously.
Right. People that's putting in work, because there's a lot of people out here that think they're making moves and they think they're doing things, but they really haven't seriously invested in what kind of equipment do I need to use? What kind of videos do I need to watch to get better at whatever it is I'm doing?
Right. Nobody really studies. A lot of people just kind of jump into it and then think it's supposed to be an easy thing. And then once they realize the work that you have to put into, or the investment of time that you got to put into anything, it ends up being quickly discarded.
Right, definitely. And that's kind of why this whole creative journey that you're on and the creative journey that I'm on is definitely not for the weak. It's one of them things where when your family asks how you're doing and they want to know what you've been up to, are you still doing your little music thing? Are you still doing your little podcast thing? Then it can get really discouraging, and it's almost like you could commit career suicide because you're around people that don't believe in what your dream is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. See, I think I'm blessed in a way because my whole family does music. So like my mom sang, my uncles and everybody were in bands. So it's never like a little music thing to them. You know what I mean?
They get it.
Yeah, they kind of get it, especially being musicians themselves that never really got their break. So whenever they see me kind of doing certain things or in certain different areas, they're like, oh, like he's serious. This boy bad.
Right.
That's kind of how my uncles talk. They be like, oh, he's bad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You know, like
yeah.
when you born like at a certain point in the 60s, bad is like the thing. You know,
Right.
oh, that boy bad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's
he
everything.
bad like I was in the 80s with the Jerry curl.
That's a bad boy right there. I feel you on that. But I'm glad to hear that you come from a really supportive circle.
Right.
So being that you came from a family full of musicians, tell me about how old were you when you wrote your first song?
Whoo. So
we're gonna adjust because we got. See, here's what happens: is it start droop a little bit. So what we need to do is we need to make this shorter, and we need to, cause it's almost like a right here. We're gonna do like that.
all right, word.
Right? Okay, we're gonna do like that, and maybe come down a little bit. Oh, not this bullshit again. All right, cool. All right, here we go right there. We want you right. Okay. All
right, we good?
Yeah, we good.
All right. So just continue. Want me to continue with that? Or?
I'll throw the question to you again.
Okay.
All right. So, being that you come from a family full of musicians, I want you to talk to me about when or how old were you when you wrote your first song?
So, I would say about 8, to be honest.
Okay. Okay.
But I wrote things a little bit earlier than that. So I was a weird kid. I'm not gonna hold you. I started really wanting to do music when I was 4, right? Mm-hmm. And like you said, like, you know, the women kind of influenced it. I was a fresh 4-year-old. For real. Like,
okay. All right.
So the movie that started me was Why Do Fools Fall in Love? If you ever watch Why Do Fools Fall in Love, this dude, he running around, he got 3 wives. The whole premise of the movie is that they're in court to get his estate for music, right?
Yeah.
Because he was running around being a philanderer. It was wild.
Oh, man.
But it's like the way that he was singing, he was getting the women. You know what I mean? And it's Lorenz Tate. So it's like you see Lorenz Tate.
Right.
He got Halle Berry. You know what I
Ladies
mean?
Man.
Right. So that's how I kind of started in like doing that, and The Temptations were like the first 2 movies that really got me into it. You know what I mean? And because my parents, they were in bands and stuff. So I started singing and writing poetry a bit. Like at that point, like I was like between 4 and 6. But first song had to be around 8. Like officially thinking like, okay, I want to write this. I want to do this. You see Bow Wow and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to, let me get my pen together and see what I could do, you know? Right. But I wasn't good at 8. Right. Facts.
Now, really quickly, I want to take a quick deviation because when you told me about how the women inspire you to write music, I immediately thought of something.
And every time a nigga asks me if I sing songs to get at women, I say yeah. See, no fair is cheating. I say, boy, don't judge, cause hell if you.
All right, but that song, it just perfectly captured what you're talking about, because I think that if we're being honest, for us men out there that like women, that they are really inspirational in getting us to change.
Oh, Catalyst. The Catalyst. I actually where non-music thing, I became a mathlete on accident because of a girlfriend. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And this was a thing where it's like she was going to some after school program and I'm like, oh, word? So I just went and I'm just in there goofing around. We all had to take a test. Didn't know what the test was for, why. I got a call like a week later. Like, hey, you're like fourth leg in a mathlete tournament at Pitt that you got to go practice for. And I'm like, I didn't want to do it, but it's like it's the coolest thing that you could tell somebody. Like, how I'm a mathlete, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and just randomly, because I took a test that I really didn't want to take, all because I followed a girl that I liked into some after school program. But catalyst for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, their influence over us is crazy. And that's why when I think about R&B music, I think about how I think what I like about, the reason why it's my favorite genre of music is because it's at its core, in its purest form, I feel like it's about vulnerability.
Right.
It's about sensuality. It's about just being connected to your deeper emotions and really releasing and not performing and putting on a front like everything is cool, but really, because if your girl leaves you and you want to get her back, you can't just be like, I'm single, had to cancel that bitch like Nino. Like you can't, like it's a catchy song, but when we talking about real R&B though, it's like I'm down on my knees begging you please. And I feel like today a lot of these guys that make R&B music, or what they call R&B music, they're too cool and they don't want to get grimy and dirty with it.
Listen, Boys and Men.
Yes.
And I think Boys and Men is funny because you'll really listen to their song and it'd be like, you feel that way, but it's like, I wouldn't do that for, you know, to be like, you really start to think like, do I really love this girl? Yeah. Because they're talking about, I won't walk again until you come back.
Right.
Like, no, I got to get up. You know what I mean? Like, I got stuff to do. Like, you talk about I won't walk again. Or like, dude on End of the Road, I think it's the funniest because you start listening. It's a groove. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking. Dude's going through it like, I know you really love me. And it's cool. But then, dude come on with the deep voice. He like, baby, I know you cheated on me.
Yeah.
With all those other guys. And I just didn't care. It's like, what? Hold up.
We are here to talk about you, but I think I'm such an R&B fan, so when you bring up Boys to Men, that hits differently, because I'm not one of these guys that is like, all right, well, R&B started in 2010 or something like that. It's like, no, you got to go back. And I think that Boys to Men, what they represent is you have these 4 young men that went to school with the roots in Philadelphia at Kappa in Philly, and they all can sing. And I think one of the things that is a little bit frustrating is that I think people, because Wanye has the famous ad-libs and the riffs, then people kind of reduce the group to being like, oh yeah, because Wanye go crazy. It's like
Sean?
You take my hand and
see, it's weird because I feel like when it comes to R&B music, I kind of think of them like basketball positions, you know what I mean, based off of people's voices. So like Sean is like, you got high tenors, you know what I mean, but you only have a handful of high tenors that are as great as they are. Like Sean is awesome. You got Tevin Campbell, you got Jesse Powell. But you got
he passed away, right?
Yeah,
I think he did.
Rest in peace,
Rest
Jesse
in
Powell.
peace, definitely.
Because amazing vocalist. But you only got so many men that can sing that high. And then what's his name? He's from High Five.
I know who you're talking about. I'll Google it real quick because I'm
summer long. We've been together, girl.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Let me
Tony
see.
Thompson.
Tony Thompson. Yeah, got you. Yeah.
Like, you only got a handful of that. Like, that can do that. You know what I mean? Because then everybody else, they kind of got the, you know what I mean, this real baritone, either low. You know what I mean? Like, Usher's one of my favorite singers. Yeah. But he's like within the baritone range. You know what I mean? Right. That he could hit the scale.
Right.
But not a lot of people that have like that soft, vocal, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's rare. It's rare to find anymore. And Sean is a legend.
Yeah. Sean definitely is a legend, and I think that speaks to how great the group is because,
Right.
and even though Boyz II Men as a trio is cool, when they were a quartet
Whoo!
with Michael on bass. And that's the thing is, I think what happened is the same way that you were kind of playfully talking about the way that he would come on and he would say,
Yeah.
baby, and do all that stuff. But I miss that kind of stuff because everybody in the group had a role. Or you look at Melvin with the Temptations.
Yeah.
Like you need that bass singer and stuff because that's how it was where you had the different, where if it's a alto or a baritone or a tenor or something like that, that's what makes it good.
Good, yeah.
But people is being too cool, and you don't really see groups anymore.
Everybody's solo. Yeah. Nobody's a team player, which is cool. Like I've always wanted to be a group. Like,
right.
To be honest, like,
because you said in that article that you and your friends used to sing songs to try to get the girls.
Yeah. Like, well, actually, it was mainly me. I'm not gonna hold you, like,
right?
Because
but they had your back though.
Yeah, they followed suit. It was kind of like, So I went to 2 schools. I went to Willow Hills like my whole life, and I went to Gateway. Whenever I moved to Gateway, it was kind of like, oh, girls like that I could sing, so I'm going to sing a lot, and I'm going to sing to them in the cafeteria, and then everybody else who was like my boys are around, like, because we ended up having like a thing in a choir, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they just kind of picked up on it, you know what I mean? And then it became a thing where like, okay, like we all sing together, we all end up being a group together. It ended up changing as time went on, but. Yeah, like I always wanted to, like I've always been a big group big group guy.
Yeah.
Even now, I still have, like I have a squad of people that, they make music, we share stuff, or they produce or whatever. But it's always a family unit.
Right, it's a community.
Facts.
Yeah,
it should be.
It should be, and I think that is really what's missing because we don't see girl groups anymore. And I think that now that we're in the TikTok era, everybody just wants to go viral and they don't want to make music that will stand the test of time.
Right, exactly. Nobody wants to make anything that's going to have longevity because everything is so short now. You know what I mean? Like, but it's also an attention span thing. Like a lot of people can't deal with longer songs. Like Isley Brothers will come out with a song that's 10 minutes, and you be listening to that song for 10 minutes. You be
grooving the whole time. Because that's back when they had jam sessions.
Exactly.
And this groove is so good that we gotta keep it going. Like, all right, man, you know what? And this is the funny thing with editing. This is exactly why I don't put the full video on YouTube because I know I'm gonna get mad copyright stuff because I keep using on other people's music. But when you talk about songs that should be longer, I always play this song all the time because I just can't help it. But just right. So when I was doing one of my videos, I downloaded like this piano version of it, and this is just the instrumental. I think it's like 2 or 3 minutes long, but damn, man.
Like when you hear this, like the way I hear this is like, oh, it sounds like a canvas. It sounds like something that you know a direction whenever you hear something like this, which you would approach it with.
Right.
I feel like she's flawless with direction.
I think what's really good about her, so here's the thing. With all due respect to Wanye, I feel like sometimes what happens is that we tend to praise the people that do the most. Yeah. And what ends up happening is the people that do the most, we automatically say that they're the best. And this is no shade at Wanye, because Wanye is great, and his sons. We don't even have to get into
my God.
Oh my, that's honestly, that's really unfair. How do you have 4 and wait, and his daughters sing too. They're just not in the group. I've seen videos. They get busy too.
They all get busy. And if you watch because I heard their album, right?
Yeah.
And I'm big on, don't get me wrong, I'm huge on content, what we're actually saying in music. And just like for me, I like my music provocative. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew up on Prince, Parliament Funkadelic.
Right.
Like I have a scope of like a pool of music that I listen to.
Right.
Like that's outside of R&B or like kind of around the edge. So I'm really big on what somebody's saying.
Right.
But with them, they're pristine. Like it's clean. You know what I mean?
And they're kids.
Yeah, and they're kids.
They're kids.
Like
and they're like that. And what's crazy is when they post their videos of how they used to sing, how they sounded before puberty, and then after puberty, and it's like, yo, their voices sound different, but they still sound good.
Good, right?
Yeah.
And that's a thing. The before and after puberty thing.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I sung as a kid, but my voice like it changed, but it didn't really.
I know
you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're, and I say this respectfully, but your voice, it kind of. It has a lot of youthfulness in it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that a lot of singers, when they get older, it just drops, it becomes deeper. But yours, I'm sure it dropped a little bit, but it didn't stray too far away from what it was when you were a kid.
Right. No, it didn't. And it was weird because I had a time where I was going through like a baritone phase.
Yeah.
Where I would sing a little bit lower than how I actually should be singing because everybody else was singing that type of way.
Right.
And then I said, why am I doing this? Like, you know what I mean? Because you can hear the difference whenever you're actually singing in your tone and you're actually in your pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for them, like you could hear it. You could hear like same thing with like a Ralph Tresvant, higher singers.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And because you want to sing like you want to have that Marvin Gaye, that sexy, you know, every dude wants to have that sexy,
right?
You know, but we ain't all like that. You know what I mean? You gotta find your own appeal.
Right. Yeah, you got to. And I think what's really cool about your voice is that, first of all, what I appreciate is that I feel like your diction and your clarity is really, really good. So I never listen to a Landon Thomas song and think, damn, I don't know what he just said.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Michael Jackson, you can get away with that, or if you're a Prince, but they're different though, and what they can do vocally is just that's not even fair. But what I like about you, when I think about you, and I want to say this respectfully because I know that sometimes when you compare artists to current artists, not OGs but current ones, it's kind of like, all right, well I ain't sound like him, he ain't inspire me. But what I'm saying here is when I hear you, I think of The Weeknd, I think of Vito, definitely Vito and The Weeknd. Maybe a little bit Usher, Eric Bellinger, people in that kind of realm there. Because to me, all of them, what they excel at is they're very, very clear, and their tone and texture and all that stuff is just, I could tell you put thought into it. Because I think what happens is that, getting back to what I was saying about Wanye, who I respect, is that I think sometimes what we honor is the people that do the most. But what I love about Victoria Monet is that she doesn't do the most, but she sounds good every time. Because I compare it to something like this. Have you ever seen a drummer or performed with a drummer before that, okay, hold on really quickly, I'm going to restart these cameras. I can't sing, but I'm into this stuff.
Yeah.
This is my bag right here. Okay. All right, here we are. Okay, let me give it a couple seconds because it does this brightening thing. All right. And we're back. Devin Zoolander sitting here with the one and only Landon Thomas.
Can I talk my shit again? Can I talk my shit again? I can't believe I'm back up in this motherfucker. The world's under new management. New role model. Fuck this Zoolander shit.
Thank you for that, Jay.
Y'all gonna learn today.
Y'all gonna learn today. All right, here we go. So, when we last left off, we were having a conversation about R&B singers and about how whether you're raised in a church or you're performing at a school event or a community event, we always want to honor the person that does the most. But what I love about Victoria Monet is that she stays in her pocket. And what I was getting at is, have you ever been around a drummer that wants to do all these drum solos, but all you need him to do is just stay right here? And people don't understand how hard it is to just play that same kind of thing and to stay in that pocket.
Listen, I've been around singers that do that. And same thing with anybody who's a musician. Like, you got somebody I want to put sauce on it, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to put sauce on it too early. I'm big on what's the real and what we're talking about here. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. Anybody who knows, same thing with Prince. Like, I grew up on all that. So it's like, I know the technique of what they're doing. But yeah, like you said, everybody, like, we praise who does the most, or we champion who does the most, instead of looking at it for what is the most practical thing and what's going to be the best in the song. You know what I mean?
You know what it reminds me of? I just saw, so Team USA, they just lost, and I don't watch it like that, but I know they just lost the basketball tournament. I don't know if they got the bronze medal, but I know that they're not going to get the gold.
Yeah.
And what that has done, it has sparked a lot of conversation about how the NBA isn't sending their best American-born players over to compete against the rest of the world, and the world is caught up. So now you can't just be like, oh, we're going to have Brian, KD, Steph, Jason Tatum, just sit back.
Yeah.
No, y'all need to go. And I forgot, I think it was Kyle Kuzma, what he said was, what the stars have to understand is, are you willing to take a lesser role? We know what you can do on your own team.
Right.
But in order to win, are you going to be able to just play defense and sit in the corner and wait to shoot a three? And I think that sometimes when you take these alpha type A personalities that are used to dominating as solo artists, then when you try to put them into a group, it becomes who can out-sing who. And it's like, are we trying to prove how well we can sing, or are we trying to make music together?
Exactly. What's going to be practical? Because you'll have a song, and I think even Jamie Foxx did it. Like whenever they were recording Slow Jams, him and Kanye, you know, he was talking about how he was trying to sing the hook a certain way, and then Kanye was like, "Look, no, just Marvin Gaye,
right,
some
Luther
Luther Vandross, a little Anita, definitely set this party up right."
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
like simple. Like some things need simplicity. Some
Right.
things don't need the dramatic. You know what I mean? The dramatic. And I love Wanye. I think Wanye has the drama he needs.
Right.
To sing.
And that group
But
needs that.
You need it, you know, but
Right.
not everything needs it. Like I've heard some songs where it'd be like, you didn't need to sing as much as you did for
Right.
this particular part because the words are way more important.
And I think that what happens is that some artists, they feel, I think it's good to remain hungry.
Yeah.
It can even be healthy to a point to carry a chip on your shoulder. Let's say you're Landon, you just got nominated. Let's say you didn't win, but you got nominated for a Grammy. You're feeling yourself, but you still want to have that hunger of what it was like before you got all this critical acclaim. And yeah, I understand that you sometimes feel like you have something to prove, but sometimes when we do that, we end up doing too much. Because I look at an artist like Eminem. I would never say Eminem is one of my favorite rappers, but I'm also not stupid enough to say that he's not talented.
Right.
Because he's sick. He's crazy talented. I think the reason why his music fell off, though, is because he tends to, every time he raps as if he's trying to prove that he can rap better than everyone.
Right.
And I think that anybody that knows Eminem and has been following him, they're not going to deny that. But when you do this, you lose the audience, because all you're concerned about is, look, I'm Landon and my voice can get all the way
Right.
up here. But how do you sound when you get up there?
See, I refer it to same thing with. It's always to me it's a thing that leads back to girls. You know what I mean? Because you have.
I think I know what you're about to say.
It's like you have Scare the Hose music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right,
that's
right.
pretty much what it is. But
Right.
it's kind of a lot of dudes follow the same premise, where instead of them learning to finesse and learning another way, there's people who punch out a wall. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when a woman say like dudes is just pounding but can't find the,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because because it's not about her, it's about you. And
exactly.
That reminds me of something, because I just interviewed a yoga meditation breathwork specialist. Her name is Charlotte Supernatural, in the Pittsburgh area. Thank you for doing the show. But she talked about, I'm gonna lose it. I just had it. Oh my gosh. All right, we were talking about what you were saying about sex and all that kind of stuff, and how guys they struggle with that. Man, I forgot what she said, but it was man,
it's selfish. Like a lot of it, and the same thing. It's kind of like,
I know what it is. I got it now. She said, I think ego is the attachment to things outside of yourself.
Right.
So when you're so concerned about, oh well, I'm the best, or I beat it up, or something like that, which manifests itself in the lyrical content that people put out, and why that R&B tends not to do as well. Because it's all bravado, it's all hyper masculinity, and I get it to an extent, but it's almost like, well, what are you overcompensating for? Because if you're that good at what you do, then there's a way to communicate that without being insecure with it.
Right. There's a certain amount of grace, amount of sensuality that you should have. Like whenever, especially if you're speaking to women, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like finesse. There's like the one. I think the biggest analogy I ever learned was persuasion's better than force. You know what I mean? Like there was a thing where it was like
Yeah,
the wind
yeah,
versus the sun. They
yeah.
bet the guy,
Yeah.
bet who could take the guy's jacket off. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like when you turn up the heat on certain things. Of course, he's going to naturally take off his jacket. You
Right.
push the wind on him. No, he's going to hold on to it stronger. You know.
Right.
But a lot of artists, they force it. You know what I mean? It's the
Yeah.
same thing. And it's the same thing across the board
And
with everything.
To use another saying, in a lot of other contexts, the saying ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission works.
yeah.
But when it comes to women, ask for permission,
right?
You know, before you ask for forgiveness. Because what you got to understand is that you can do something and everybody can use their imagination about what we're talking about here. But you can do something and then hope that someone forgives you, and they won't, because
Right.
you didn't ask for permission first, which is why I was telling you about earlier. One thing I learned from women is use your words.
Use your
they
words.
big on that.
Be accountable. Like
Right.
I remember woman saying the most attractive thing a lot of times, because a lot of dudes feel like consent is unattractive to ask for. Like that's the reason why. So, do you mind if I slide on you?
You're asking.
Yeah, you're asking. You know what I mean?
It's
Because-
a collaboration. It's
Right.
not just me talking to you and you just got to sit there. It's a tennis match. It's not.
Right.
It's not just what's the sport of golf or whatever. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you should be more long game. Like a lot of times,
Yeah.
we try to get straight to the point when no, your woman needs more than that. She needs a little, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I remember who was it? Eddie Murphy on this thing, he's talking about, yo, like these niggas don't know how to fuck. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
because
right.
they don't have the emotion. They're not, you know what I mean? You're not
They're not
you're not
connected to it.
grooving. You're not connecting to the woman. You know what I mean? And you should be able to connect and understand, and that's kind
Right.
of what it is a conversation. Same thing with
Right.
music or anything else. It's about the dialogue behind it. What are you trying to say?
Right.
What are we trying to accomplish here?
And just because you have something that you think is good to say,
Right.
it's almost like this. If you can sing really well, but you don't connect with the audience, then who cares? Yo,
Exactly.
Landon's really talented. That's why I tell people all the time, and I had this conversation with someone, with a friend back in the day, and I was telling her about, yo, you gotta have talent is so basic.
Yeah.
I'm not, like to me, if I listen to your music and the only thing I can say is Landon's talented.
Now what?
Right.
Right.
It's like, no, Landon is a really thoughtful songwriter. Landon is really good at communicating emotion through his tone in a way that he enunciates certain syllables.
Right.
Landon is someone that is a historian of R&B music, and he takes some familiar riffs from Aaron Hall, from Guy,
Yeah.
and he used them on this song right here. But if all I got to say is that you're talented, I got news for you. It's a lot of people talented out here.
Exactly.
It's mad people talented, but when you talk about what separates you, you got to have a story. And when you don't have a story, then people will move away from you.
Right. And especially like, because if you listen to a lot of songs now, a lot of people are, for lack of a better term, like they're really kind of just forcing what they're saying. You can automatically tell that they pick the lowest hanging fruit just to kind of get their talent across, and really are not paying attention to the content of what they're saying. Which don't get me wrong, there's great, awesome, amazing artists. Like we talked about Victoria Monet. I know a few
Yeah.
local people that are awesome.
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
great. But not a lot of people who really are doing the emotional work to make it real to them. You know what I mean? You could tell it's not true. It's dishonest music. It's not core to their character, or they're trying to make up a character.
They're trying to
Like,
sell a record.
yeah.
Whereas with you, obviously you want to sell a record because you're in the music business.
Right.
But at the same time, you know that even if it doesn't sell what you projected to sell, at the same time, you can lay your head down knowing that people might not get it now, but when they play this in 10 years and they listen to this, they're going to hear the quality that I put into it.
Right. The work that you put into it, the thought that you put into it.
Right.
Like, you can be saying, we could be talking about a million things.
You
know what I mean?
The struggle
Yeah.
that it took to overcome to get there, because
Exactly.
that's part of your journey. And I think that a lot of us, myself included at times, are very, very destination based, and we forget about the journey. But when you're
Right.
standing up there and you're accepting those awards and all of the emotions are rushing back to you about how you had to deal with teachers saying that you'll never make it as a professional artist, or having to deal with family members or friends that you love and that are your day ones, but they don't really believe in you, or you catch them maybe talking about your art, and the way they're talking about it is not in a way where they're talking directly to you and saying, hey, you might want to try this. They're talking about you and they're flaming you, and it's like, wait a minute now, like, you supposed to be my man right here. Why you killing me like that? And when you know all the obstacles that you overcame, that's what make the journey so much sweeter, not just getting there.
Exactly. Like everybody has, your biggest strength is your story. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right,
that's
right.
the biggest strength that you can have in this world is that nobody is you. Nobody has your experience. Nobody has shared your exact experience to get from one place to the next. So if like that's your testimony, if you can
Right.
communicate that well, you got money in the bank.
That's your authenticity.
Right.
That's your integrity.
Exactly.
And that's what grounds you as an artist. Like, for example, whenever I think of Kendrick Lamar, Compton.
Right.
We don't even got to talk about nothing. When I think Kendrick Lamar, oh, you mean Compton, you mean West Coast, you mean Snoop Dogg, you mean NWA, you mean Too Short.
Right.
Oh, you mean E40, you mean Compton. Oh, okay, you mean Boys in the Hood. You mean Menace to Society. You mean Friday. You mean that rich tradition that they have over there on the West Coast. When I think of Kendrick Lamar, I think Compton. I think about West Coast, LA.
Exactly.
Nipsey.
Like I think about Dre. And
Yes,
because of the way that he makes music, you know what I mean? Because from Eminem to Kendrick, and
Right.
if you listen to specifically what he has done in music, like I listen to Snoop Dogg with him and without him. You know what I mean?
And
If
it's
you listen to how, there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
He be making Snoop work. You
Right.
can hear it in his music. Like whenever
Right.
Snoop is rapping, Snoop is always on point when he with Dre. Like,
But when he's not, he can
Yeah.
just do anything. And I think with Snoop, because his personality is so lovable,
Yeah.
we let him rock. Because,
you let him rock
Yeah.
because he has the personality of, he's
Yeah.
cool. He's a cool dude. He seems
Right.
like he's chill. Don't get me wrong. He was the first rapper I was ever scared of. Like ever scared of
Yeah.
in general. Because as
Yeah.
a kid, like, and I like we've grown up. We
Right,
know how
right,
Snoop
right.
Dogg was in the 90s, but in the 90s, Snoop Dogg was terrifying.
Right.
Like you think about it, it's like, bro, he got a murder charge. He did Bones. Like he was a scary
What was
dude.
and
Like,
if you look at him in Baby Boy,
Yeah.
Rodney, right? Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You look at him, he got the gun. You see me? Like he's the scariest nigga I've ever seen with a perm.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
scariest
yeah,
with a perm.
facts,
Yeah.
he is. But that goes back to what you were saying about how Dre, how he makes you work, and
yeah.
all the artists that come from that tree. It's almost like how a coach has a coaching tree. Like everybody is legit.
Right. Like Eminem with Dre is different than Eminem. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, because Eminem is just he's proven every time that he's trying to rap. But with Dre specifically, like if you listen to Chronic 2000, it's
his voice, and the thing about him is that he lost his voice. His voice used to be fire. Now it's just annoying, and it's just like it's almost like a bad Kendrick Lamar impression where you're trying to do all these different things, but it's just not really hitting because you're like, I'm trying to. But the way he really rapped, like I'm not gonna play too much of this song because it's highly disrespectful and mad people would get canceled. I won't even play the song. I'll just play this beat really when you hear this. But I definitely agree with you, and it's just really amazing how I think that you need the right people around you, because people that just want to hang on to you, they'll tell you that anything is good, everything you did is fire, and it's really not.
Yeah, no, you need you need a good tribe. You need some producers that's going to listen to, not only listen to you, but tell you when you're wrong or give you suggestions too, or because you're not always right. Everything isn't always going to be the best or the most lit whenever you're in the studio creating, but you need somebody that's going to push you. Like that's going to make you want to do or bring your best out, Right,
and someone that's going to be able to see when your energy, there's a drop off in your energy. And normally you do it like this, but what's going on with you? What's good? Do we need to take 5 right here? Right. Because I know from times back in the day when I used to rap or do some poetry, and I would try to take it seriously and be in the studio.
Yeah.
I didn't prepare all the way, so what ends up happening is when you're working with an engineer that runs a studio who has sessions after you, and I've seen it myself, but people will tell you that some bullshit sound good. They'll be like, I'll be like, I don't feel like I really did that the right way. They'll be like, no, it's cool. I just need to fix it. All right, man. Well, but time is wasting, so you got about 5 more minutes. And I feel like when we're in those kind of highly pressurized environments, we got to have the right people around us that even if we're on a time constraint, they can at least build in some time, because as creatives, we don't create where it's like, yo, Landon, I need you to knock out a fire song, a fire remix in 1 hour. Now you can do that, but you can't always do that.
Oh yeah.
Because the energy is always different.
Right, it is. Now normally I will say this. I'm quick with the pen. Like I'm probably the quickest pen in Pittsburgh.
Got you.
Like, but that's because I had to be. You know what I mean? Where it's like we were like initially when we first everybody started recording together because it was a different set of people, but it was kind of the start of all of this. We were sneaking in school, like after school, trying to record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were getting kicked out by like the teacher because we weren't supposed to be there. Like a lot of times we were either skipping class because it was our senior year and I didn't really have nothing else to do. You know what I mean? Like it was just like study halls, or we would be staying after school to when we weren't supposed to and the security guy caught us. But they would start giving us grace and time because they start realizing we were doing some good stuff there and it was productive. Like why would you kick them out if they're doing something positive, you know? So we're doing that, but I was always the quickest to come up with a verse, you know, because I'm like, all right, we're on a time constraint. I know he gonna take long to write his verse. This is gonna be most of the time, or he's gonna take longer. So, all right, I gotta be the quickest one. I gotta be the first one up to bat, just knock it out. And like I learned how to do that. Now, lately, you get people that teach you to double back. You know what I mean? That'll go back. All right, let's do this. Let's slow it down. Let's make this happen so that we can make the best product. But as far as writing wise, I've always thought it was important to try to do it as fast as possible. But even then, like now it's kind of like if it don't come easy, you know, if it doesn't come naturally, me saying it, I usually will take a second to kind of chill, sit it down because like I want it to flow. Like, you know, and it should flow. It should feel organic when I'm saying it.
Because sometimes you'll have the verses all done, you'll have the hook done, but you need to do the bridge. And whatever bridge you coming up with is some bullshit.
Yeah, it'd be like, man, that's not me.
Yeah, that's not it right there. All right, what I want to do right now is I'm going to take a left turn and I want to talk about an artist that we recently lost in the Pittsburgh scene. So recently we tragically lost Mike Tomlin, Tomlinese. And I know that on a lot of things, I was searching on Facebook and I would look for, and I would Google basically Landon and Tomlinese, and I would see how many times your names were linked together because you both were R&B artists from this area. And every time somebody was having a show, you would be there, he would be there. They might say a Clara Kent, they might say a Benji, they might go all over the place, but your names were often associated together. And I know when I got that news, he wasn't someone that I listened to every single song, but he was someone I was aware of just because sometimes you get to know people on Facebook and not even listen to their music, but you still mess with what they're doing and who they are. And I could see even from TikTok videos when he would post videos of him doing some hood recipe or something like that. He's like, look, this is how you need to cook your chicken or something like that. And he's having fun, or he's in the studio and he's freestyling. He was really a free-spirited guy from what I could see from afar. But as somebody that knew him, that was aware of him, that might have worked with him, just take me through what was that like when you first got the news?
Oh, it was hard. It hurt very, very much because Tomlin, and people don't really know this, I grew up with Tomlin in certain ways where it's like we both went to Woodland Hills. Like my first introduction to him was musically. Like my cousin was kind of like a filter, like, okay, he sing.
He was the plug.
Yeah, like let me introduce you to Tomlin. And at the time, like he wasn't even known by Tomlin. Like he was like known by M Dizzy. He was a rapper. Yeah. And like they had this whole Hill gang and they were just rappers. And then he started like slowly putting in the R&B and I was like, yo, dude, talented. I want to work with him. But it was from me being a kid, being younger than them and me wanting to work with them, you know? And that's just how it was at Woodland Hills. Like we ended up always at the same parties as kids. Always just kind of grouped together in a circle. Then whenever music and everything had started to actually come along, he was in a different place than me whenever I started. You know what I mean? He was always a little bit older. So at the time, it was like I couldn't just go to him and ask to do music because at this point, he's more established. You know what I mean? He's great. We never officially got to record and work anything together. Like I bought a beat from him young, and it was a beat that both me and him used, and it frustrated me at the time.
I know what you mean.
He is always a good guy. Every time I seen him was love, and it was funny. Like I had just seen him Like literally a few weeks before that, we were in the
Yeah.
same studio. I was recording this project.
Wow.
And he was working out of that studio. I went in there, kicked it with him. We built for a second, and I have a beat from him that we never got to use.
Right.
Which he sent me, and I was going to use it, and I just never got the chance to put it in because I was so focused on doing this and making sure it's executive produced by who it was, and then I was going to circle back and go back and do it. But that was my friend. You know what I mean? Like a real life friend. So it definitely hurt.
It hit you differently.
Yeah, it hit different because
Because a lot of people, and myself included, that's why I made sure whenever I said rest in peace to him on Facebook that I said I didn't know him well, because I don't like when people do that either, when you really didn't know the person, but now you want to be all extra and try to make believe what it really was. So I didn't know him, and I only knew him through Facebook, but I just saw the way that people talked about him, and I saw just what was going on my timelines, whether it was TikTok or if it was Instagram or Facebook. And then when I saw that they did a nice special on the news, and shout out to Portia Fox, because it's funny because I know her, but I've also been her Uber driver a couple times. And I remember we had a conversation about Mike Tomlin, and she was just talking about how much she appreciated him and his friendship. And it's just really sad. And to open up to a larger conversation, I think it makes me think about whenever one of our black kings transitions to the afterlife, then it makes me think about, you'll see phrases that read, "Black men deserve to grow old." And I think he was like 31 or he was 32, something like that, but he was young. And I think about that because whether it's Mike Tomlin in our city or whether it's Nipsey Hussle or Young Dolph or Pop Smoke or King Von, whoever you want to name, P&B Rock, just too many, Takeoff, just a lot of different names out there of people that we've lost. And I just want to know, when you hear about your friends that are no longer here and they're gone at such a young age, what kind of effect does that have on you?
Oh, it hurts. Because there's a lot of them. You know what I mean? We grew up. Most of us grew up within this region. You know what I mean? East Side is such a wealth of community without people actually calling it a community. Where a lot of us, we know each other. You know, we've all went to school together. We've all grew up together. Like I said, me and Tomlin were at parties together, like as kids. Like I was 13, they were always like 15, 16, 17.
So it was older, right?
Yeah, so like they were always like my big homies. Like that was always like my, you know what I mean? Like like to me that was like my OG. You know what I mean? Like that was always a good friend. And even then, like whenever they started to announce it on Facebook, I kind of took a quieter route because I know there are people around him that are so much more in, you know what I mean, in his day-to-day life that were so much more impacted at that particular point. So I was always respectful of that. But the way that he impacted my life was huge. You know what I mean? Because he was my only counterpart here. You know, if we're being completely honest, where we made the same type of music, or we had a feel for the same type of thing, and we had the same goals. And that was, I always rooted from him. Like, you know what I mean? For especially like a little brother. Like there was like, especially from a little brother perspective, you know what I mean, where I wanted to see him win because I want to see me win, you know what I mean. And then I know if he win, it kind of solidifies the fact that I'm right. And just him not being here anymore, it still stings. Like I remember us dropping it, and normally around the time when I start dropping a project, he one of the first person I would send it to get a review from, you know what I mean? And kind of like, yo, you messing with this, because like that's like my big brother. He make music, you know, and then he'd always get, it's good, bro, you know what I mean? Or we'd make a joke or something, because we both short. He was like an inch shorter than me, but like
see, I never met him. I never knew how tall he was. But
that was my man's, you know. And it always hurts to see people that we lost. We have so many people that, especially that have a great or a wealth of experience, that would be great if they turned the page. We got to see it, you know.
Like I know when we lost Jimmy Wapo, that was definitely a thing. And I think the one thing that I want to make clear about me is that there's music out there that doesn't really, that's not
Resonate,
my,
yeah.
it's not my vibration, but as far as what he meant, because there were so many, obviously with Jimmy Wapo, there were so many people that were our age that were impacted. But when you think about the kids, when you get the kids, it's different because he's like a superhero to them.
Yeah.
He's a talented rapper and artist to us, but to them, he's like everything, almost like a godlike figure. And I know that was really hard because he was someone that I feel like obviously had gotten into some things, but that he had more to do with his life. And I just hope that when people remember some of our fallen heroes, whether it's Jimmy Wapo or it's Mike Tomlin or even if it's Mac Miller, because when you just start thinking about some of these names of people that we've lost, I just want people to really do right by them and to be honest about what your relationship was. So if you and Tomlin, if y'all got into it before and there was times where y'all stopped speaking and it wasn't all roses all the time or something like that, then that's all right. Like you said, it's real. When you said the thing about like, yeah, man, he gave me a beat, then he started rapping on the beat. That's a real thing.
Yeah, it was like, and it was kind of a weird thing at that time, but I don't think it was intentional. You know what I mean?
Right,
he had a song that he felt, and then I ended up having a beat too, and then he had to run with it. So I respect it because especially now knowing how production works and being in music, like it's cool.
It's
like,
hard to sit on something, especially when the inspiration hits you and you got the lyrics and you got it. If the other dude is over here, even if it hasn't come out or he's not promoting it the same way, then I might have to take this back.
And that's like for me, it was like, and there would never be no beat because it's like if anything, there could have been like a sibling rivalry, right? But there was never any of that because I was always genuinely happy to see him make it. Win. The only thing that really made me mad in context of him, and people don't know this, but people would do this, and I think it was the most shady thing where it's like, okay, you don't work with him, or he don't want to work with you, so you come to me. And you try to down talk him, not knowing that
how close you are.
Not knowing I grew up with dude. You know what I mean? Like, no, that doesn't get
not
any
work
points with me because like that's my friend. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like that,
I think that it's really important for us as black men to really look at our mortality and look at how we can create environments and situations where we see one of us and we're like, no, I can't do him like that. Because to me, I don't, and this is not, I don't want to speculate or misspeak on the events that occurred that led to him no longer being here with us. But I will say that whatever it was, it shouldn't have happened.
Oh yeah.
And it was foul. And to me, I think part of that comes from this self-hatred that we have as black men, because I'll be honest, as much as I can tell you like, oh yeah, we gotta be more supportive, we gotta big up each other more, we gotta make sure that we feel at peace when we're around each other and that we don't have to tense up. There are times where I'm around certain black men where I feel like, yo, all right, well, I might have to toughen up a little bit, or I might have to be on the lookout, where's the exit? And we shouldn't feel like that.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't at all.
We should feel love when I see you. It's like, like, and I'm not saying that we commit crimes against anyone, but if we got to, we got to protect us.
Exactly. Like I always try to look for if I'm in a room with black men in general, I try to look for the nod. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially because it's like just a little bit of a response to something that to kind of show camaraderie because we should be. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be at opposition.
Nah.
I do see a lot of people at opposition, or especially if you're in a certain room, you might feel a type of way. You don't know some of these people from a can of paint, but that comes with the territory. You know, if you're in a different town, you in a different place. A lot of times you have to appease and respect where you're at.
No doubt.
Which understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, my proudest thing that I love seeing, like my favorite pleasure I love seeing on TV now is seeing black men that turned the corner and were able to turn turn their lives around or see their careers blossom and like their second win. Like you watch Drink Champs?
Yes.
Or like with Nori, like I love seeing Nori do Drink Champs. Yeah. I love seeing who else? Oh, Cam and Mace. Like you see what Cam and Mace are doing together. It's kind of like that's beautiful. Like these two dudes been at odds half my life.
Or to use another example, I like the camaraderie that I see between Stephen A. Smith and Shannon
Yeah,
Sharp.
right.
Because to me, we saw how it ended with Skip, and even though they had a good thing going for a long time this last year, Skip has crossed the line a bunch of times. And Shannon is way bigger than you. He would definitely smack the shit out you if you said that shit to him on the street. But because this is your show, even though Shannon's on there too, and Shannon's the bigger star, and he's the reason why we watch, because it's your show, then you feel like you can do all this, put your glasses back on. You're not as great as Tom Brady. It's like, I'm not as great as Tom Brady. Okay. I'm just a 3-time Super Bowl MVP, one of the greatest tight ends of all time, and you didn't even play on any kind of level like this, but you're going to disrespect me. So that's why I'm relieved to see him with Stephen A. Smith, and they act like brothers.
Yeah, it's good to see two brothers together, because Skip,
he's wild.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, get Jerry Springer out of here.
Yeah,
like, because he looked like a mix between like Jerry and Maury. If you really look at him in the face, he looked just like them. And it's just like, bro, like Shannon smoked blunts and drink Henny.
Right.
He will hang you out the window.
Right. Right. You lucky that he's so respectful.
Right.
Because he definitely be tripping, but we definitely as black men, we need to stop mean mugging each other. We need to stop being fearful.
Yeah.
Because I even know sometimes as an Uber driver, I think for me, sometimes it's all right, I'll try to be respectful. I don't want to call them the young niggas, but I'll just say sometimes it's the younger brothers that get in the car. I'm like, man, I hope this ain't some bullshit right here, because I remember one time I picked up this one guy in McKees Rocks, I think, and he had to stop, so we had to go to Northview Heights. It was like, all right, Northview Heights, that's cool. and then we get there, and like 5 other people, we picked them up. And it's just on some other shit. I'm like, damn, dog, I ain't trying to do this clown car shit. Because then one of y'all is going to do some stupid shit or throw something out the window. And then that's going to be right when the cops see us. Right. I'm like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Why all y'all in the car? And then don't let somebody have something on them that they're not supposed to have. But I say all that to say that sometimes we gotta put our arms around the younger guys, and the guys that are our age, we gotta be more supportive. We gotta show love, and we gotta not show love if we don't really feel that way, because nobody needs fake love. We need love. We don't need fake love though, because if you really didn't listen to the album and don't be over here talking about something, yo man, you talented and you talented, right? But what was your favorite song? Yo, you talented and you talented. It's like, damn, what's up with this nigga?
Here goes my beef with music when it comes to people. Because people do that all the time. Or they'll ask you for a feature, but really not know what type of music you make. Like, they have an idea of what they think you make, right, or what they think you should sound like in their head, right, but it's not actually the music that you make. Like, I'll get a beat, and 9 times out of 10, I'm like, no, that's I don't even, I don't even sound like, I won't even sound right on this. Right. Like, there's a certain type of R&B, and it's just like, nah, like, this ain't even my flavor. Like, do I sound like I make music like this? Have you listened to my music or my catalog to even know what's going on? But people don't.
And you know what the issue is? I feel like, while in one breath I can say that black men, we need to collaborate with each other more, we also need to understand that everyone doesn't need to collaborate just because we're both black men. Because I feel like what happens sometimes is people will be like, well, come on, bro, like do me this solid, man, like put me on your show, or yo, you need to put me up on there, with all the arrogance and the cockiness and stuff. It's like, hold up, dog, check your entitlement.
Yeah, people will think, and I've had this happen, there's 2 things that happen that I think are really projection driven. One, somebody will think that you got where you are, or you got what you got because of some outside force or some help that you had
outside of your talent.
Yeah, and they'll go, okay, he got it, so I deserve it, and I'm going to ask him to help propel me to this position because I think that I deserve it because I'm better than him. Or something that comes across that way, where it's like they think that by getting side by side with you, they can outdo you, and then by outdoing you,
they can learn the secret sauce,
right?
And it's like, it's like with Jay on Lost Ones where he said, I heard motherfuckers saying they made Hov,
Right.
saying they made Hov, say, okay, so
Make another Hov, yeah.
And it's right, and it's not that easy.
Exactly, because
Right.
everybody think that they got, like, I remember there was a conversation, and I forget what was on, but it was about Diddy and 112. 112 had left Bad Boy to go to Def Jam, and they weren't doing as well on Def Jam. You know, it's like, because y'all trying to take my sauce. Like, that's what Diddy said. Like, y'all can't duplicate my sauce. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
you can't duplicate what I got on this particular point. This is me. I studied this, or I had time to record.
it.
Yeah, to perfect this.
Yeah.
But everybody be trying to, like, everybody will try to, you know, maneuver or try to get that, or
they want to take shortcuts. They want to like. So it's funny because there's so many Hov bars, but it reminds me of when on H to the Izzo when Jay said, like I told you, sold drugs. Nah, Hov did that.
Yeah,
so hopefully you wouldn't have to go through that.
Right.
Like, and I think people take so you wouldn't have to go through that to mean that I don't have to go through anything. No, you don't have to go through that. You don't have to sell drugs, but we all have to go through something. Because literally, to get to somewhere, you have to go through something.
Exactly.
And we all do. So maybe for your daughter, for example, maybe her challenges won't be the same as yours, but she still has challenges that are inevitable. And you can't just be like, oh, baby girl, or what you call her. You can't just be like, oh, yeah, don't worry, I'm always going to be there to protect you. Yeah. And you're never going to have to. No, I'm here for you. I'm going to protect you, but I can't always protect you.
Right. And there's going to be a lot of times where you can't. There's a lot of things as far as experience-wise that person has to go through that it's not your territory or your place to even try to own or protect, because you devalue what their experience is. And that's the reason why, same thing with music, where it's like, I can tell you so much, or I can help you so much of what I've known or what my experience has been. That does not mean it's going to be your experience, because you're not me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, none of this, like, I've never been, if you look at my history in Pittsburgh, I've never been on Whammo. I've never been on any award shows that have Pittsburgh. Honestly, I more than likely have never been on any list of any top artists, anything that has to do with Pittsburgh.
Right.
For me, my proving ground was, okay, I got to kick ass and be the best that I can be, and be consistent. My bubble, be consistent, and then somebody gonna feel it. It just so happens that I've had cities like that. I've had people outside of the city that have looked and been like, "Oh,
and shown love.
This guy's dope," and it hasn't been anything where I needed to do something, or I needed a response, or I needed to pay anything, or to get that type of love. Where it's like, I got featured on Apple. They did that without me.
I gotta get my
like, they did that without me knowing. Like, I woke up, somebody was like, "Hey, you're on Apple feature." I'm like, "Oh, word, cool." You know what I mean? Same thing with any type of publication. I think the Vibe thing that just happened.
Here you go.
It was kind of like, I didn't ask for it to happen. It was somebody who recognized something in me and saw it to go, "Hey, this guy's dope. I want to shed light on this," and I'm always appreciative of that. And
this is a perfect segue, because I went to college with a brother by the name of Cedric Perry.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about Ced, and me and him, I'm talking like the same way you was with Mike Tomlin, like that's how me and him was, because we both met when we were freshmen at Cheney University.
Yeah.
And the thing about Ced is that he started Renaissance Music, and that was a record label that I was a part of in the early going when he first started, when I was trying to rap under the name Nerd Boy and everything like that. And I remember he started to build his roster of artists, and currently he has Don B, who's an R&B singer. He has Key Story, who is a dope female rapper from, I believe she's from the Bronx. I believe they call her the Bronx Baddie. I've never met her in real life, but I follow their whole page. And he has his brother, Jay Quest the Rebel, who's out in L.A. And then he also has Cheek the Prophet. So he has a nice roster of people. But then he started the Who Got the Wave playlist, because he had a song that was called "We Got the Wave." So he took that and made the "Who Got the Wave" playlist. And one of the things that I noticed is that he was sharing on his stories one of his playlists, and it had your name on it.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, I know that. That's bro from Pittsburgh. I know him. And he was like, oh yeah. He's really talented. And that just speaks to how Said has never met you. He's not from Pittsburgh.
Right.
But he identified talent. He wanted to promote that talent. He playlisted that talent. And now it's just another way for people to recognize your music.
Exactly. Like I've interacted with him on Twitter. Like, cause I was thinking as soon as you said it, like,
yeah.
Because I'll go on Twitter and just kind of interact with the R&B people, not really thinking anything is going to happen, because a lot of times you get on Twitter, you're not going to get a viral moment,
right?
You know what I mean? But you can continue to share your stuff, and hopefully somebody is going to feel it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've done. Where it's like I'll go on there, just kind of share my stuff, start talking to people, and then they go, oh, he's really talented.
Right.
Like, I'm going to do something to kind of put a microscope on this, because we're in an industry now where there's so little opportunity for R&B because of the field, that everybody in R&B kind of gets to exchange and grow together, because we're going to grow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole generation of different R&B artists that are coming out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just seeing the growth of different chords and different audiences that are gravitating back towards it.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a bigger, like, it's going to explode. Like,
Right,
there's so many of us.
Right.
And I'm just happy to be a part of it. I'm happy that people like Sid and
Right.
like, you know, other playlists. Yeah.
Because I saw
curators.
you showed a video recently. Was it someone at Genius or?
Yeah.
That record. Okay, go ahead. You could talk. He was reviewing your music while you're while you're on live with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have like Twitch streams, which it's weird kind of how I got involved in it, because I was just watching people do it.
Yeah.
And then I had not released any music.
Right.
But at the time, I think, because we did this a few months ago, but at the time, we had not dropped anything. We had not dropped a single. We hadn't even dropped anything. I was kind of sharing certain things that were like background on Instagram until my producer went, all right, bro, chill. Like, you doing a little bit too much. So you got to kind of pull back. But in the midst of that, I saw their lives, and I'm like, okay, I need to figure out where this measures, you know? So I wasn't thinking I was going to get on a live or that I was going to get my song played, because I caught it at the end. But I was able to maneuver and get it played on the live. And the moment that they heard, he's like, oh, no, this is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, and that's been kind of like, that's been the reaction of multiple people, where it's, if I'm at the point where it's like, okay, play my music, I want you to hear it. You know what I mean? If you get the chance to play it and listen to it, you're more than likely going to like it based off of the feel, especially if you like R&B.
Yeah.
I know R&B ain't for everybody, but if you like R&B, I got something for you.
And I think that, to your point, I think that it's a certain kind of R&B, because I know people hate when we get on our purist stuff, but it's like, yo, if I grew up on, if it's Marvin Gaye, if it's Luther Vandross, whoever you want to name, if it's Joe, just so many great vocalists out there, Michael Jackson, of course, like all these different people, then, or even more recently, Usher. I can't just say that everything is everything. Like with hip hop is bigger than one form, and for me, I know I like a certain kind, and so I feel like with your music, what I like is I feel like the attention to detail, and I feel like you take your time, because I think some people, they just put it out there and it's not really where it needs to be. Like, I'm reading this really quickly from Hip Hop Since 1987. The lead single, Anything, exemplifies Thomas's ability to seamlessly blend contemporary R&B elements with unique vision. The song's infectious melodies combined with Thomas's soulful vocals create an irresistible atmosphere that draws listeners in from the first note. Anything sets a tone for an album that delves deep into the complexities of human emotions, relationships, and self-discovery. That's fire, man.
That's definitely fire.
That's that. You can't say it better than that. That is smooth.
Yeah, no, that's fire.
Yeah, that's a professional writer right there. He got it.
All right, see, I couldn't even write that.
No. But that's really fire right there. So let's talk about this lead single, Anything. We played a little bit of it earlier, and I want you to just talk about what went into, what were you experiencing that gave you the inspiration to write that song?
So it was actually something that kind of came on a whim. I think this one, that was probably the quickest song I wrote on the project. If
Are You Still Mad at Me?
Yeah, Are You Still Mad at Me? It was the quickest song because initially, as soon as he played the beat, I went, "You already know how I get round," and that was it. I was like, okay, I kind of know where I want to go with this.
Right.
It wasn't like a feeling of me going through anything, because the song is about, I'm trying to slide on somebody, I'm sliding on either somebody's girl. She's not my girl.
Right.
But it's definitely somebody's girl.
Yeah.
Because even in the opening of the song, I'm asking if you still with that nigga now.
Right.
Because you know
right.
I miss you now.
Right.
You know
right,
how we
right.
getting down.
Right.
Like, because it's, it's kind of like you everybody has had a relationship with a girl where it's like, okay, we're not together, but you know what's going on. Like, you know when I call you, like, what I'm calling you for. You know what I'm here for.
Right,
so,
right.
Like, whether I'm asking, can I slide tonight? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's, like, everybody's been through it. Everybody has had that type of relationship, whether they're with somebody else or whether they're not with somebody else. Oh, you still with him? Well, well, why don't you?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
What's going on? You know what type of connection we have, and it's being sure of yourself. You most times if you're with that girl or you have that connection with somebody, you know what it is. Like, you know what it's heading for. So, it was easy. It's organic. It was like, okay, what do I say in this type of situation?
Right.
And from my expertise, I'm going to come off in a cocky type of way. Like, oh, you still with him?
Right.
Well, I miss you. So,
right. Right. And you know how we go back.
Right.
You know how we get down.
Like you know how I'm coming when I'm coming.
Right,
so.
right. No, I totally understand that.